My parents tried to give my inheritance to their favorite daughter, but my grandparents had a surprising twist in store. I'm Harrison Wells, 32 years old, and I work as a medical equipment sales representative. My family history is a complicated tapestry of favoritism and unspoken expectations, with my younger sister, Olivia, 27, always being the crown jewel in my parents' eyes. The contrast between us couldn't be more stark. While I spend my days in hospitals, helping doctors find the right equipment to save lives, Olivia cultivates her image as a beauty influencer, her Instagram feed a carefully curated display of luxury and success. Yet behind those perfectly filtered photos, she still lives in our parents' basement, a detail conveniently absent from her social media presence. Childhood memory. Age 5. One of my earliest memories perfectly captures the dynamics that would define our family relationships. When I was 5 and Olivia was 2, our parents transformed our backyard into a miniature fairy tale for her birthday. Professional face painters, a bouncy castle that seemed to touch the clouds, and even a petting zoo complete with baby goats and rabbits. The laughter and excitement of that day still echo in my mind, but for a different reason than you might expect. Just 3 weeks later, my own birthday arrived. I remember sitting at our kitchen table, a store-bought cake with slightly melted frosting in front of me, while my parents hurriedly sang happy birthday before Dad had to take an important business call. The contrast wasn't lost on me, even at that young age. That pattern would become the blueprint for countless celebrations to come. Childhood memory. Age 10. The inequity grew more pronounced as we got older. I remember spending 6 months saving every dollar from my allowance to buy a bicycle. I can still feel the pride swelling in my chest as I wheeled that second-hand blue Schwinn home from the local bike shop. The paint was a bit scratched, but to me, it represented something more valuable than just transportation. It was proof that hard work and patience could yield results. That lesson was quickly undermined when Olivia spotted me riding it down our street. "Daddy, I want one too," she wailed, her Instagram perfect pout already in place at age 7. Instead of using this as a teaching moment about earning rewards, our father, Gabriel Mitchell, immediately drove her to the premium bike store. She returned with a brand new pink Specialized model, complete with custom accessories that probably cost more than 3 of my used bikes combined. School years. The disparity between our treatment became even more evident in our academic lives. I threw myself into every activity imaginable at Marshall High School, maintaining a 4.0 GPA while juggling my position as editor of the school newspaper and captain of the debate team. Each small victory felt like pushing a boulder uphill, met with nothing more than a distracted nod from my parents. Meanwhile, Olivia was beginning to build her social media presence, spending more time perfecting her selfie angles than studying. Her report cards consistently showed C's and D's, but our parents, especially Dad, spun this as her being entrepreneurial and thinking outside the box. I still remember the day she got a B+ in her weakest subject, English. My mother, Eleanor, ever the social butterfly of our local charity circuit, threw an impromptu dinner party to celebrate, complete with a new iPhone as a reward. "You know how your sister struggles with academics," Mom would say, her voice dripping with that particular tone that suggested I was being difficult for even noticing the double standard. "We need to encourage her unique talents." College years. The pinnacle of this contrast came during my junior year of college. I had just been selected as one of 2 students from our university for a prestigious summer program at Harvard Medical Innovation Summit. The program was known for launching careers in medical sales and biotechnology, exactly the field I was passionate about. I shared the news over dinner, my heart pounding with excitement. Dad barely looked up from his phone, where he was liking Olivia's latest Instagram posts. "That's nice," he mumbled, then immediately brightened. Oh, speaking of achievements, did you see your sister hit 10,000 followers today? She's really building her brand. Mom at least managed a "That's wonderful, honey" before launching into an extended monologue about Olivia's upcoming beauty workshop. The workshop, naturally, was being funded by their investment in her future. The night I was supposed to leave for Harvard, I found myself standing in our driveway with my packed bags, waiting for an Uber. My parents were across town at one of Olivia's pop-up beauty events. "Sorry, sweetie," Mom had texted, "but you know how important networking is for your sister's career. You understand, right?" I did understand. I understood perfectly. Career development. By the time I reached graduation, the pattern was so deeply ingrained, it barely stung anymore. I graduated summa cum laude with a degree in biomedical business, immediately landing a position with MedTech Solutions. While my colleagues' families filled the graduation hall with cheers and cameras, my parents arrived late and left early. Olivia had a crucial meeting with a potential sponsor for her beauty channel. "Don't let all this go to your head," Dad cautioned during our brief celebration dinner, his attention split between his meal and Olivia's latest Instagram story. "The medical sales field is pretty unstable these days." Mom chimed in with her usual mix of backhanded support. "Just remember us little people when you're off being a big shot salesman." Though honestly, Harrison, wouldn't you rather do something more stable? Your sister's influence marketing is really the future. Present day career success. Despite their lack of faith, or perhaps because of it, I threw myself into my career. By 32, I had become one of the top 5 sales representatives in the company, specializing in critical care equipment. I found genuine fulfillment in helping hospitals acquire the tools they needed to save lives. My apartment, while modest compared to what my income could afford, was my own, purchased through years of careful saving and strategic career moves. Olivia, meanwhile, had dropped out of beauty school to focus on her influencer career. She continued living in our parents' basement, converting the entire space into a content creation studio funded by our father's credit card. Her Instagram feed painted the picture of a jet-setting beauty guru, carefully cropping out the reality of her dependent lifestyle. Grandfather's estate. This was the backdrop against which our grandfather's passing occurred. Vincent Wells had been a self-made success story in medical equipment manufacturing, a fact that had always created a special bond between us, though I'd never leveraged it for my own career advancement. He passed away, leaving a substantial estate, and that's where our current story truly begins. The video call for the will reading was set for a Thursday afternoon. I excused myself from a client meeting to join from my office, adjusting my tie as my laptop connected to the conference. The familiar faces of family members populated my screen one by one. My father's calculating gaze, my mother's practiced charity event smile, Olivia's perfectly contoured features, no doubt using the ring light I could see reflected in her eyes, and my grandmother's dignified presence. Will reading. The attorney's voice crackled through my headphones as he began reading. "To my grandchildren, I leave equal portions of my estate." There was a pause as he detailed the amounts, $500,000 each to be distributed among all grandchildren. My heart skipped a beat, not just at the amount, but at the word equal. Through my screen, I could see my parents' faces darken, their practiced social masks slipping for just a moment. The meeting hadn't even officially ended when my phone started buzzing with messages. First came the family group chat. "Dad, Harrison, we need to discuss this privately. Family meeting." "Now." "Mom, please be reasonable about this, dear. You know your sister's situation." Olivia shared a crying emoji. Then came the private messages. "Dad, son, you need to think about what's fair here. Your sister needs this more than you do." "Mom, Harrison, sweetie, please call us immediately. This is a family matter." Olivia, you know I'm struggling with my business. This could be my big break. Family conference call. The subsequent video call was a masterclass in emotional manipulation. My father, Gabriel Mitchell, sat in his home office, the wall of business awards visible behind him, a backdrop he typically used for his real estate development company's meetings. "Harrison," he began, his voice carrying that familiar tone of disapproval. "You have a stable job, selling medical equipment. Your sister is an entrepreneur trying to build her brand. Just yesterday, she lost a potential sponsorship deal. Do you know how competitive the influencer market is?" I watched through the screen as Olivia dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, careful not to smudge her makeup. "I just need a chance to really establish myself," she sniffled. "My followers are counting on me to provide aspirational content." "This isn't what your grandfather would have wanted," Mom added, her charity event smile nowhere to be seen. "He would have understood the importance of supporting Olivia's dreams." I unmuted my microphone, feeling the weight of years of similar conversations pressing down on me. Grandpa was very clear about his wishes. He treated all his grandchildren equally. "You're being selfish," Dad's voice boomed through my headphones. "After everything we've done for you, the braces, the school supplies, letting you live at home during college." I had to suppress a bitter laugh. The braces had been medically necessary. The school supplies were the bare minimum, and living at home during college had been their idea to save money that consistently went to funding Olivia's various ventures. Escalation. The situation escalated rapidly over the next few days. My father, in his role as executor, took matters into his own hands. During another tense video call, his face filled my laptop screen as he made his announcement. "As the executor of the will, I'm making an executive decision," he declared, adjusting his silk tie, a recent Father's Day gift from Olivia. "I'll be reinterpreting your grandfather's intentions. Olivia will receive both portions of the inheritance." The audacity of it struck me like a physical blow. I was standing in a hospital hallway between sales calls when I received this news, watching doctors and nurses rush past with actual life and death situations, while my father casually announced his plan to steal my inheritance. "That's illegal," I stated flatly, trying to keep my voice steady. Grandpa's wishes were clearly stated. "Don't you dare question your father's judgment," Mom's voice cut in from somewhere off-screen. "Your grandfather would be ashamed of your attitude." Meanwhile, my phone was buzzing continuously with Instagram notifications. Olivia had begun posting cryptic stories about family support and believing in dreams, carefully crafted to garner sympathy from her followers without explicitly mentioning the situation. Grandmother's intervention. Feeling cornered, I reached out to our grandmother, Margaret Wells, a woman who had always watched our family dynamics with quiet concern. Our video call that evening was different from the tense family conferences. Her face was lined with genuine worry as she listened to my explanation. "Oh, Harrison," she sighed, adjusting her reading glasses. "Your grandfather and I had a feeling something like this might happen." She reached off screen and returned with a folder. "That's why we prepared for it." She began sharing her screen, showing me emails and documents from years ago. "Your parents approached your grandfather about changing his will to favor Olivia," she revealed. "He refused immediately. He believed in treating all his grandchildren equally." The next document she showed made my breath catch. A clause in the will explicitly stating that any attempt to challenge or manipulate the equal distribution would result in the challenger forfeiting their share. Confrontation. Armed with this information, I requested another family video call. This time, I shared my screen first, displaying the documents my grandmother had provided. The silence that followed was deafening. "I've already spoken with Grandma and the will's co-executor," I stated firmly, watching my father's face pale through the screen. "Your attempt to reinterpret the will isn't just illegal, it could cost you your own inheritance." My phone immediately lit up with a barrage of notifications. Mom, how dare you go behind our backs? Olivia shared a series of crying selfies to her close friend's Instagram story. Dad, this is a family matter. You had no right to involve outsiders. Family matter? I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. Like when you missed my Harvard presentation for Olivia's Instagram meet and greet, or when you turned my graduation dinner into a planning session for her beauty workshop. The group chat exploded. Dad, you're being dramatic. We've always supported you. Mom, after everything we've done. Olivia, you're just jealous of my success. Family division. The aftermath was swift and far-reaching. Grandmother, along with the co-executor and their attorney, quickly moved to secure the proper distribution of the inheritance. My father was removed as executor, a process that spawned countless heated video calls and angry text messages. My Instagram notifications became a battlefield. Olivia posting passive-aggressive quotes about toxic family members. Mom sharing throwback photos with captions about simpler times. Extended family members taking sides in their stories. But something unexpected happened too. Cousins and aunts began reaching out privately. We've seen this behavior for years, Harrison. It's about time someone stood up to them. Your grandfather would be proud. 1 month later, during a particularly tense family gathering at Aunt Sarah's house, my parents showed up unannounced. Dad stormed in, waving his phone with Olivia's latest Instagram post displayed, a tearful monologue about family betrayal that had already garnered thousands of sympathetic comments. Family confrontation at Aunt's house. Look what you've done to your sister, Dad shouted, his voice echoing through Aunt Sarah's carefully decorated living room. Her engagement rates are dropping because she's too distressed to create content. Mom clutched a family photo album to her chest, tears threatening to ruin her expertly applied makeup. We only wanted what's best for both of you. How could you turn your grandmother against us? Before I could respond, my Aunt Sarah stepped forward. Gabriel, she addressed my father firmly, you need to leave. This isn't your house, and Harrison has done nothing wrong. The room crackled with tension as other relatives moved to support me. For the first time, I wasn't standing alone. Grandmother's support. Later that week, during our regular video call, grandmother shared something that touched me deeply. She turned her camera to show a carefully maintained scrapbook, filled with newspaper clippings of my academic achievements, programs from school events, and even a printed copy of my Harvard acceptance letter. Your grandfather kept this, she said softly, holding up a program from that fourth-grade play my parents had missed. He was so proud of you, Harrison. Every time you achieved something through your own hard work, he would add it to this book, Sister's Awakening. A surprising message appeared on my phone one evening after a long day of hospital sales calls. Olivia, can we talk? In person. No phones or social media. Just us. We met at a quiet coffee shop. Ironically, the kind of place she'd usually use as an Instagram backdrop. But this time, her phone stayed in her purse. I've been thinking, she said, fidgeting with her untouched latte. Maybe Mom and Dad's constant support wasn't really support at all. I don't even know how to do anything on my own. My whole identity is tied to likes and followers, while you've built a real career helping people. It was the first real conversation we'd had in years. She confessed feeling trapped by the perfectionist image our parents had crafted for her, how every post had to be approved by them since they funded her lifestyle. I want to do something meaningful, she admitted. I've been researching community college programs, actually. Maybe you could help me look at the options? Family changes. The news of Olivia enrolling in community college sent shockwaves through our family's digital sphere. Mom's charity event photos suddenly lacked their usual sparkle, and Dad's business success posts grew more frequent, as if compensating for something. My phone buzzed with a series of notifications. Dad, you've poisoned your sister's mind against her true calling. Mom, think of all the brand deals she's turning down. Aunt Sarah, proud of both of you for finding your own paths. Grandmother, your grandfather would be beaming right now. 6 months later, the changes in our family dynamic have been profound. Olivia moved out of the basement and into a modest apartment near her college, using part of her inheritance to fund her education rather than social media equipment. Her Instagram still exists, but now it's filled with study tips and honest posts about finding herself. During our weekly coffee meetings, I've watched my sister transform. I got an A on my biology midterm, she told me last week, her face lighting up with genuine pride rather than ring light perfection. And I did it without posting about it first. My relationship with our parents remains complicated. Mom has started therapy, her weekly sessions gradually peeling back layers of societal expectations that drove her obsession with appearances. She reached out recently. Harrison, could we have lunch? Just us. No phones, no social media, no talk about investments or appearances. I'd like to really hear about your work with the hospitals. Dad, however, remains entrenched in his position. His latest message spoke volumes. When you and your sister come to your senses about your life choices, you know where to find us. Until then, I'm focusing on people who understand the importance of maintaining the right image. Personal growth. Working in medical equipment sales, I see life and death situations daily. It's given me perspective on what truly matters. The inheritance wasn't just about money. It was about breaking free from toxic patterns and finding our own paths. My grandmother recently shared another family video call with us, but this time it was different. Instead of tension and accusations, Olivia and I sat together in my apartment, sharing stories about our grandfather with cousins who'd had similar experiences. We're building a new kind of family support system, one based on genuine connection rather than social media metrics and financial manipulation. As I write this from my office, overlooking the hospital where I just closed a deal on life-saving equipment, I realize that the real inheritance wasn't the money at all. It was the courage to break free from toxic patterns and the wisdom to build something better. To those facing similar situations, your worth isn't measured by family expectations or social media metrics. Sometimes the hardest part of growing up is realizing that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary.